Yo, fellow gamers, strap yourselves in for a journey into the realm of clackety goodness, because today we're diving into the top 5 best gaming keyboards of 2024. Whether you're a keyboard connoisseur or just looking for an upgrade, this video will equip you with the knowledge to dominate the digital battlefield. You can buy these gaming keyboards from the links that are given in the description below. Let's get into our countdown. 5. Wooting 2HE. I have been a fan of Wooting's keyboards for quite some time now. Prior to this review, I'd looked at both of its previous first-rate keyboards, the Wooting 1 and Wooting 2, and loved what I saw. That makes today's new arrival even more exciting, as the Wooting 2HE, the company's latest and greatest, should already have the makings of a fantastic mechanical keyboard, but also has to live up to my absurdly high expectations. Thankfully, it absolutely does. If you look no further than the black faceplate and keycaps of the Wooting 2HE, you might wonder what the fuss is about. I don't blame you. The Wooting looks decent, but it doesn't appear too different from the mechanical gaming keyboards we've learned. In fact, it's a little more boring than most in appearance, with some nowadays taking extra to a whole new level. The Wooting 2HE offers analog key control. If you depress a key, say the W key, rather than send a simple on/off signal to your PC, the keyboard will measure the full range of that key's motion. That means you could alter your range of movement between walking and running in a game without the use of a controller, or even have some semblance of control in a driving game without an analog stick or wheel. That's great for games like GTA V, where you're often switching between running around, driving, and even flying. That's a concept we've started to see from bigger brands, though as far as I'm concerned, it was Wooting that initially brought this concept to bear with a usable and affordable product in the Wooting 1. 4. Logitech G915 Lightspeed. The Logitech G915 TKL gaming keyboard is a familiar sight for yours truly. I have been using the Logitech G915 for my past 50,000 words or so, and the G915 TKL brings the same wireless technology and sleek design to the 4-bar numpad, with only minor design tweaks and discounts. Much of what I think about the G915 also stands for its miniaturized sibling, too. This should be easy, then. Obviously, the biggest shakeup with the G915 TKL is the lack of numpad and macro keys. The TKL comes in at just 368mm to the full-size G915's 475mm, leaving a bounty of desk space for you to chuck around your mouse. If you're anything like me, that might mean coming to terms with the lack of alt codes, but it's an easy switch for gaming alone. Macro functionality has been loosely retained with the G915 TKL, but has been shifted to a secondary program of the function keys. This can be flipped via the Logitech G gaming software to prioritize macro functionality first, in which case the Fin key will revert F112 back to the original input. While the USB receiver remains the same tiny device as ever, one of the few changes introduced with the TKL is a small USB storage slot on the underside, built to accommodate the dongle when not in use, potentially handy for a wireless device as small as the G915 TKL that might actually be carried between places often. You really don't want to lose that tiny dongle either. You'd never find it. 3. Mountain Everest 60. I don't like 60% keyboards. That's the sort of admission so early in a review of a new 60% keyboard that might have you questioning my suitability for said review. Plus, I'm aware you will have already seen the high score, the award badge, and may now be finding this whole opening spiel somewhat ludicrous. But while every other 60% keyboard I've ever used has been admittedly adorable, they've been utterly unsuitable for actual day-to-day use. The Mountain Everest 60, however, is just as ickle as the competition, just as cute, and has all the enthusiast keyboard extras you could want, but crucially has the total utility to be your daily driver of a key. Mountain isn't the first to create modular keyboards. Asus even made its own years back, but it's the first to get it right, offering a solid, secure fit for the modular components, as well as multiple mounting options, makes the whole setup actually useful and not just some marketing gimmick. On its own, though, the Everest 60 isn't modular, but there is a dedicated numpad that can be purchased separately, and it's hot swappable. Crucially, for me, it will also attach to either side of the board. If you're still rocking a numpad on the right-hand side of your gaming keyboard, then you're just plain doing it wrong. The key benefit of a smaller key is that your mouse and WSAD hands are closer together, and switching the numpad to the left means you still get to use the extra buttons and the extra desktop real estate for your gaming rodent. 2. G.Skill KM250 RGB. Mechanical gaming keyboards can cost a fortune. The G.Skill KM250 RGB's best skill is that it doesn't. In fact, it's nowhere close to costing a fortune, yet it still offers mechanical switches, per-key RGB, hot swappable keys, and discrete media controls. Which is why the G.Skill KM250 has my attention, because it is bringing a host of those enthusiast keyboard features without the exorbitant price tag. Right now, you can pick up this compact 65% keyboard for just $40. If you're after a good compact board, you honestly don't need more. And if you're looking to get into the enthusiast switch game, it's a super cheap base to jam some quality switches into because it's entirely hot swappable. I will say up front that it is obviously lacking the high-end luxury of sound dampening and super fancy stabilizers, but those are compromises I'm willing to make for such a supremely cheap keyboard. And honestly, I've experienced far worse stabilizers on expensive NZXT and Razer keyboards in the past. Unlike the KM360, however, the KM250 isn't shipping with genuine Charity MS switches. Instead, it's using Kailh's version of those linear red switches. They're not bad, but definitely not great, and combined with the plastic, undampened chassis, you do end up with quite a hollow-sounding typing experience. 1. Asus ROG Strix Scope E96 Wireless. The Asus ROG Strix Scope E96 Wireless is simply the best gaming keyboard I've used in a very long time. There are faster, smarter, much cheaper boards that still deliver plenty of features. You'll find all of those recommendations below, but the best all-around gaming keyboard has to be the Scope E96 Wireless. That's, in part, thanks to loop switches. Yes, loop switches. I'm so glad this has made the leap from enthusiast boards into more mainstream ones. The process of pulling out every key switch and dropping in some lube in order to make it thwomp good is not something many PC gamers will have bothered to do, but freshly lubed switches out of the factory means you don't have to worry about the messy details with the Scope E96. A spot of lube makes all the difference. Every key drops lightly into place as you type and smoothly springs back with a satisfyingly light clack. The ROG NX Snow switches are your pretty usual linear key switch with an actuation force of 45 grams. There's also the tactile and moderately heavier option, however, the NX Storm. Both actuate at 1.8 millimeters, which is pretty snappy, though not quite as snappy as those aforementioned boards at their lowest adjustable actuations. Not that I noticed that in-game, the Scope E96 feels extremely responsive. It's also relatively quiet. The sound of the linear switches reduced to a light pitter-patter by the sound-dampening foam, sturdy PPT plastic keycaps, and switch pads. Looped up, sturdy stabilizers also keep the larger keys, namely the spacebar, quiet. Remember, your perfect keyboard is out there, waiting to be your partner in digital crime. Consider your needs, budget, and switch preferences before embarking on your quest. And hey, if you're still undecided, drop a comment below and let the keyboard community guide you. Now go forth, click with confidence, and conquer your virtual worlds. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more techie goodness. Until next time, happy gaming!